Almost there. Hang in there. Okay, I think we should be on. Miho-chan 確認できる?
I'm checking right now. I don't see it on the link that you sent me.
See what?
A YouTube link.
I think we should be on.
Well, the comments are like not still waiting. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Checking right
It
now.
says event will begin in a minute. 2 minutes.
I see it on the link that you sent me. See what?
Okay, we are on. We are on.
Okay, great.
Okay, we're on. Confirmed. Okay, so hello YouTube and hello world. Hello. 皆さんようこそ、ジャズオードトリアオンラインです。マスタークラスの、ビッグバンドリーダーサミットです。Here's the master class with the big band leaders. And let me introduce our guests one by one. Ladies first. This is Miho Hazama.
皆さんこんにちは。こんにちは、みほです。
And here's one and only Maria Schneider.
Konnichiwa.
And last but not least, Gordon Goodwin.
Konnichiwa, everybody. Hello.
Okay, so welcome. And just a brief explanation of what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about, I guess, being a band leader and about, composing and arranging and stuff. But feel free to send your questions on a YouTube chat window. Okay. 皆さん、今日の課題は、ビッグバンドリーダーとしての、お話、それと、アレンジ、作曲、編曲、そういったもののお話を中心にしていきたいと思います。質問がある方はどうぞ、YouTube のウィンドウへ、お願いします。Okay, so getting started, my first question, 最初の、質問お話ししたいのは、my first question is about being a leader of a big band. And why big band? Why did you guys choose big band? Who wants to go first?
Miho. Take it.
Okay. Well, okay, where do I start? I think my first impression, I grew up with listening to a lot of symphonic music when I was a kid. And then that was a huge influence of my music sound in my brain. And I also studied a classical composition for a long time. So my initial sound in my head is always a symphonic sound. So I decided to go with not a big band, but something large. And I came up with this 13 piece jazz chamber orchestra, which is my orchestra's instrumentation now, called M unit. And then that's why I stick with a big band. It's a large ensemble. It's not a big band, but it's a large ensemble.
Yeah. Miho, how old were you when you first started to write this music?
I was in a part of the Yamaha music school. So when I started playing piano, electric organ, and a composition, I was at 5. But when I switched my major to jazz composition, that was age of 24, I think, when I came to New York City for the first time to switch for my master's degree.
Hey,
Yeah.
Miho, if you can translate that into Japanese, that would be.
Yeah, sure. もともとはクラシックの、なんでしょう、管弦楽のオーケストラの音楽をですね、すごくいっぱい聴いて育ったので、そのこう音が頭の中にずっとあって、結果としてこうビッグバンドとは言わずとも、そのビッグバンドとオーケストラを足して2で割ったような、なんかそういった楽器編成に落ち着いたというところが、私がビッグバンド大編成の、バンドリーダーを始めたきっかけになりますね。はい。
Okay, Maria?
Well, let's see. When I was in college, I was studying classical composition at the University of Minnesota, but I was listening to so much jazz, and my composition teacher at the time said, you know, your music is sounding so influenced by jazz. Why don't you go write for the big band? And there was no jazz program. This was the University of Minnesota. They probably have a jazz degree now, but back then they didn't. And so I just started watching the big band rehearse and took a few lessons with somebody in the band, and just kind of I just started experimenting, writing for them. And you know, I fell so in love with all the jazz composers, you know, Gil Evans for his orchestration, Bob Brookmeyer with the long form composition. And I just never stopped, you know, it was amazing. I still remember that lesson when that teacher gave me that idea, and here I am now, you know, what is it, 40 years later, you know, still doing it.
Okay, let me translate that really quick. マリアさんなんですけど、40年前ぐらいにミネソタ大学にいる時から、このビッグバンドとの、関わりが始まったそうです。その時にいろんな方を勉強して、ギル・エヴァンズ、ブルックマイヤーなどと、その、アレンジ手法とかを、勉強しながら、今に至っているということです。Okay, continue.
Oh, that, you know, you're done with me, right?
Oh, you're done. Okay, Gordon.
Maria, before I do mine though, Maria, it must have been so affirming for you to then later in life be able to work and become colleagues with Bob Brookmeyer and Gil Evans as well, am I right?
Yeah, it was a freaky accident. So when I moved to New York, I started working in an office as a music copyist, you know, back when it was pen and ink, you know, copying for Don Sebesky and everybody who was recording in Midtown. And it was a much more thriving recording scene then. It was, at that time, it was dwindling, but it was so much more than it is now. And at the Xerox machine, I was Xeroxing a score for Tom Pearson, who lives in Japan, lives in Tokyo. And we ended up going out to lunch or something, and he asked me who my favorite writer was, and I started talking about Gil Evans. And then he later called me and he said, I didn't tell you, but Gil is one of my closest friends, and he needs somebody to work for him, and he'd like to meet you. And so it was just purely by luck. And then Brookmeyer, I got a grant to study with him. And it was kind of luck. And, you know, I'm always grateful forever to Tom Pearson for that.
I had a similar experience because it was in 7th grade that my middle school band director pulled me aside, and I was really into Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. That was my jam. I loved
Me
them,
too.
you know. And he pulled me aside. He goes, you know, Herb Alpert's fine, but I need you to listen to this. And he pulled out a Count Basie record, and he flipped it to side 2, and he put on the last track of the record was a song called "The Queen Bee," composed by Sammy Nesico, and he played that, and it was one of those epiphanies, like a light shone down from the clouds, and it just changed my life. I heard this music, and I said, know this. I know what this is. And I don't know what it was, but I knew that somehow my life is connected to this.
Yeah.
And fast forward decades later, and I'm friends with Sammy. I've worked with him on a lot of projects, and I can call him a friend, and it's hard to make that connection with somebody who had such a profound influence on the direction of my life. And so
Well,
I'm
I
really grateful
have
for
a
that.
belief. Well, we should let Eric translate, and then
Yeah.
I'll just tell you something that, kind of a little belief I have about things like that.
Okay, what were we talking about? What was it? What was the
It was
subject?
my band director playing Sammy Count Basie for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Music by Sammy.
ゴードンさんの、成り立ちなんですけど、彼が中学1年生の時に、ハーパールパートみたいな結構ポピュラーなポップスなものを好きだったんですけど、彼の、音楽の先生が、こっちを聴いてみなということで、カウントベーシーのアルバムをゴードンさんに渡したそうです。その中で彼が特に、大好きになったのがクイーンビーというサミー・ネスティコの曲です。今はもうサミー・ネスティコは、彼にとってはもう友達と呼べる仲になったので、やっぱりこのビッグバンドというものがもう最初からこう導きがあったんだなと彼は感じております。Okay, my next question. I do, speaking for myself, I do a lot of clinics and guest soloing with school bands and whatnot. And I see a lot of band directors conducting really badly. Conducting a big band, any thoughts, any do's and don'ts? 次の質問ですけど、ビッグバンドのリーダーとして僕がよく見かけるのが、すごい悪い指揮者が多すぎるということです。皆さんにとって、指揮は、どうやったことを考えてますか？やっちゃいけないこと、もっとやってほしいことなどを教えてください。Okay, so who wants to go first on this?
I would just say that I was heavily influenced by Thad Jones, watching him stand in front of the band and more inspire them. No one has to beat time for musicians of that caliber. So it's a matter of conveying energy to them. It's a little bit of showbiz, I think, for someone to be up there doing that. But I watched him and I just loved how he was involved in the music, even though it wasn't really playing. And I play piano with my band, so I'm kind of contributing in that way. But sometimes on the more theatrical things, I will get up and, and exhibit a little bit of that. But it's less directing the music than it is conveying an energy. And even when I'm conducting an orchestra, sometimes I'll stand there and I'll just kind of let my body move with it. And I'll give a little indication, a little cue here and there. Because I just don't know that they need this all the time. Sometimes, depending if there are acoustical, difficulties in wherever hall you're in, perhaps. But and with a student band, that might be a different equation. If they're not used to keeping good time and listening to one another and feeling the pulse of the energy of the music, then maybe it needs a little firmer hand. But at a professional level, I'm kind of judicious about it.
Okay. ゴードンさんにとっての、指揮の考え方なんですけど、彼が大好きな、指揮者というか、アーティストの一人がサド・ジョーンズです。サドメルバンドのサド・ジョーンズなんですけど、彼の、やり方、本当に音楽にすごく身を委ねてというか、すごく音楽にまとまった、感じで、多少ちょっとショーアップみたいな部分もあるんですけど、やっぱりそれはやっぱりエンターテインメントとしては必要な部分だと思うので、彼がすごく、いい指揮者だったと思います。それと、彼が感じるのは、やっぱりエンターテインメントなので多少なそういった演出的なものは必要だと思うんですけど、全部の拍を示さないといけないような、学校のよくありがちな指揮者っていうのは、あんまりちょっと、おすすめはしないということです。Okay, who wants to go next?
Miho.
Yeah.
Okay. I would probably add one more. I mean, what Gordon said was absolutely, I agree 100%. But I particularly add one more, like a technique thing to to it that I've seen a lot of bad conductors being late from drums. But I've seen that so many times that I feel like the drums is leading the music and then not the conductor. I feel like the conductor is just following drummers instead of like leading the music. And then that's one thing that I've noticed so much that that annoys me. I'm gonna talk about it in Japanese. ゴードンさんが言ってることにもすごく本当に100% 賛成なんですけれども、それと同時にドラムの後についてって指揮をしている人をよく見るんです。ジャズは結構こうドラムと一緒に音楽が進んでいってほしいものなんですけれども、指揮者というのはもともと何か音楽を先行して、表情をつけたりとか合図をしたりとかしなくてはならないものなのに、ドラムが先に行ってそれの後追いをしているような指揮の姿を結構多く見るので、それはすごく不思議な光景というか、あってはならない、本来ならばあってはならない光景かなと思っています。Maria.
Yeah, so I think my way of conducting kind of developed in rehearsing my music, and instead of talking about the nuances I was looking for in the music, I would try to just do it with my body in the moment while they were playing. So if I wanted a line to be more legato, I would look at, somebody and play like that, or if I wanted more attack and more sforzando on notes, I'd, give them a little punch and crescendo and, all these little things. And my music, I think there's no one size fits all, because people's music is different and it requires different things. But a lot of my music has sort of unusual orchestration where, a trumpet player might be playing with a reed, and that trumpet player can't actually hear the reed, in a live situation. So how do they know that they're even balanced? And so I see my role a lot of times as being looking at people and indicating where I want them to be a little bit more, where they can hold back a little bit. So I feel like I'm doing a lot of just kind of the balancing in my band, because I'm in front and I'm the only one that has that good seat. Even when I've recorded albums, we were talking about Greg Gisbert earlier. I remember specifically when I did my first album, Evanescence, and we recorded that piece. And in the trumpet section, they have some pretty weird notes back there and odd intervals and minor ninths. It's so hard to play. And I remember he came in the recording booth and he just started laughing. He said, "Oh, that's how it sounds." They don't know always how it sounds. So it's important, I feel, for me as a conductor to try to visually give that to them, to mold it, so that it comes out to the audience how I want it to be heard. That's
Okay.
a long answer, sorry.
マリアさんにとっての指揮なんですけど、彼女の音楽に関してなんですけど、やっぱりコンダクト、彼女がバンドの前にいることによって、やっぱり一番よく聞こえるという、ことで、やっぱり彼女がそうやって難しいインターバル、フラットナインスの、音とか、そういったもののバランスはやっぱり一番彼女が聞こえるんで、それを自分のプレイヤーたちにちゃんと指示をして、上げ下げ、それとヌアンスみたいなものを、ちゃんと指示するということが、彼女にとっての、コンダクトという役目の大切さだと思っております。
What do you think about it, Eric?
は
What do you think about it? エリックさんもぜひそのご意見を知りたい。I would like to know about, what you think about it, Eric.
For me, I've done a lot of big bands, about 7 years on the road, but they're all, well, like Buddy Rich. I did a tour with Mel, Woody Herman, but Woody wasn't there anymore. So I never got a chance to play under a good conductor, so to say. But was what was interesting about Buddy Rich was that man, he had a great ear. He doesn't, he couldn't read music, but he would memorize a new chart in just one run through in rehearsal. It was pretty amazing. So he had great ears, so he could hear the balance from where he was, and he would, I guess, conduct from where he was, and was once in a while he would um, drop or like add a beat in his drum fills or drum solos. If they were like 4 bar drum break, he would purposely bend the time to see if the band the guys were listening to him. And of course we would come crashing in, like we would just making a whole mess, and he would go into a rant afterwards, in the bus. And the one thing that really stuck in my mind was that he said, "Don't count my drum solos. My drum solo is music too.
Mm.
Like a sax solo or like a trumpet solo." And he said, "Don't count, just listen. You guys have to listen." And that kind of stuck with me. But also, but he followed that by, but bass solo is another story. Don't
He did.
Yeah. I was just going to say something that I think that the most important role of the conductor might not even be in performance, but it's in rehearsal. And the really difficult thing as a band leader is to learn how to rehearse music, to learn how to get the most out of the music, to make the players understand, and to yourself, to be able to listen to something that doesn't sound right, dissect what's wrong, why it doesn't feel right. It's not just, oh, did they play the right notes and is it loud or soft, but really bringing out the nuance. There's so many different ways to phrase things. I mean, look at all these different bands and the way of phrasing that developed. So really knowing what you want from the music. Is there something that you want to lay back? Is there something where you want the time to stretch? That it doesn't have to just always be this, so like Buddy said, so I think that's the part that takes experience and maturity to get really good at it. And it just takes a lot of doing it.
OK、お名前リアさんの、補足なんですけど、やっぱりこのコンダクティングにつながるというものは、やっぱりリハーサルで、起こることです。やはりリハーサルで、こう何がうまくいかないか、うまくいくかみたいなものを、こうリハーサルの中で集中して分析をして、それをやっぱり音楽にもステージに本番につなげるっていうことも、大切な部分で、やっぱりリハーサルの大切さです。Yeah, my next topic was going to be rehearsal technique. So that was a good start, Maria. Gordon, what do you think about how do you guys rehearse? How does the big fat rehearses?
Well, something that Maria said triggered my feeling about that question, because I find myself often up against logistical and economic pressure. Whenever I have those 18 guys in a room, I'm lucky that I found a time that they can all be there. And I know I have a pretty limited window to get done what I need to get done, even if it's a recording session. I'm constantly weighing, like, well, I got it 85% there. Is that good enough? But what's it going to cost me in overtime to do another take? What's it going to cost me in the trumpet player's chops? All those kind of considerations. And the other issue that I have with my band, it's one of the fact that, a lot of us have known each other since even high school, long relationships. And so we're all friends, and it can be a bit of a party sometimes. They're all happy to be there. They're having a good time. And I sometimes feel like a grade school teacher saying, all right, people, get up here, to try to get them to stop telling stories and hanging out and having fun. And can we just talk about this moment here and focus them in on it? And so part of me enjoys that esprit de corps, whatever that phrase is, the feeling that we have that we're all grateful to be there. And everybody is routinely gives up money to be at a gig or at a session, at a rehearsal. And yet, it's always a matter of balancing those two things. Like, okay, we need to get serious about the music here. And so I think being a psychologist or being good with people and knowing how to get them to, follow you is a big part of it. Obviously, Maria's comment about diagnosing issues within the music is definitely an important thing. I remember in my early days, I would be sitting there trying to assess, does this not work because they suck or because I sucked? That I didn't write it.
I still wonder that every time something doesn't sound right. Wait, is this me or is it them?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that ever goes away, actually.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I like it. The fact that I'm still surprised when I hear something, and there's sometimes moments that don't pay off quite like I thought they would, and other moments that just come out of the blue and surprise me about all that. How did that happen?
Okay, Gordon, sorry to interrupt. Let me translate that.
Okay.
That was a long one.
Have fun.
ゴードンさんにとってのリハーサルはテクニックなんですけど、やはりいろんなことをこう考慮しないといけないという、やっぱりゴードンさんのビッグファットバンドみたいな、ロサンゼルスのトップコールのプレイヤーたちを、時間を、取ってリハーサルをするということは、レコーディングもそうなんですけど、やはり、やっぱりそうやった時間に制限されているということを考えながら音楽を進めないといけないというので、そこは難しいところです。しかも、やっぱりみんなが久しぶりに集まるとか、そういったレコーディングとかリハーサルのところだと、やっぱりみんなの世間話とか、いろいろと盛り上がって、なかなかリハーサルが進まないといけないというので、やはりリーダーとしてのそこをしっかりと、管理しないといけないということが、あるそうです。Okay, I hope I got everything. Okay, Miho, what do you think?
I'm just curious about this with everyone here as well. I mean, whenever I rehearse with my band, my band is my band because I chose to work with them. So I trust them, I admire them, I know their personality, their musicianship, everything. But whenever I work with a large ensemble that I didn't get to choose, like let's say radio big bands, some big bands on a tour that you got to work with, sometimes you have a difficulty to adjust what you can do and what kind of efficiency that you can get out of the best of the band's situation or repertoire or whatever. So that's always what I have to think a lot in the cases that have some challenging moments. Okay, I have to get this music in certain time to get the best way. How, or like how long, or how do you do this? Like how do you encourage them? These kind of things. I found myself that is a great challenge, that I try to adjust not only my musicianship towards them, but also my personality to go with them a little bit more. In a way, I could be more goofy, I could be more intense, I could be easygoing, I could be, angry, or I don't know, but my personality can be flexible to go with them so that I can get them feel comfortable to play the music in Dan or something like that. So I was kind of wondering how you guys think about this as well.
I had an experience years ago working with a high school in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And I was headed out to Seattle. I thought I was working with a college group, and I got out there and it was a high school group. And I was kind of horrified because I was like, oh my God, they can't play this music. There's just no way. And I got to the rehearsal, and it was really rough, you know, but I just treated them honestly like they were just like any other band. I was probably incredibly intense, but I just pushed and pushed and pushed and, you know, just drilled technical aspects and really talked to them about the musical aspects. And what was unbelievable is that concert I never forgot it. A matter of fact, you know, I've done hundreds of concerts with, you know, guest groups, but I have the poster from that concert here at the house because they gave me goosebumps because they made the music happen. Now, if I heard it, I'd probably say, now I'd say the intonation wasn't quite right or whatever, but the intent of the music was there and they were reaching for something. They had a sound in their head and we talked about it, you know, and with their director, they, you know, they had played it. So it was Joseph Phillips, so that his group years ago. So and just one other story, if I can just say, one time I did a clinic, or not a clinic, it was judging one of those festivals or whatever. And they were high school bands, and then there was a middle school group. And the middle school group played a medium tempo bassy chart. I forget which one, but it was like a really hard thing to play. But they swung, and the other groups were playing really difficult, showy music, and they played it well. But that middle school group had the feel, which was shocking, especially for their age. So we gave them the big award, and oh my God, people were really upset. But afterwards, I said to the director, I said, "How do you get your kids to play like that?" And I said, because I to get a feel like that, they're middle schoolers. And he said, half of every rehearsal is listening. And that's what I believe. If you have it in your ear, you can go for it. You slop your way there maybe, but you have the sound and the feeling for what you're going for. And so I think it's really important, you know, especially with young groups, that they really listen to the music and so that they have it in their ear, because as a conductor or a director, you can't will it to happen. You can't describe it all. They have to know, they have to have the wish for it in their own head, kind of.
Okay, みほちゃん、
はい。
今の訳します？
わかりました。はい、私の最初のコメントから訳しますね。今、ゴードンさんもマリアさんもご自分のバンドを率いることについてお話ししてくれたんですけれども、私自身は例えば自分以外のバンドを率いなくてはいけないときに、自分のバンドだったら例えば自分でメンバー選んだりしているわけじゃないですか。そうじゃないときに、じゃあどうやってこのバンドでベストな状態に持っていこうかっていうことをすごくよく考えるんです。で、効率よくリハーサルを進めたり、どの形で進めるのが一番ベストなのかっていうのをすごくよく考えるんですけど、そこを皆さんはどうやって考えてるのかなと今逆に質問してみたら、今マリアさんがお答えくださったのは、2つ例があって、1つはシアトルの高校ですごく難しい音楽を演奏しなければならないはずのコンサートがあったと。マリアさん自身はこれはちょっともうできそうにないと思いながら行ったら案の定最初のリハーサルは大変なことになっていたと。でもすごくそのリハーサルでもう、何でしょうね、本当に厳しく音楽の中身を本質をつくことを伝え続けたら、なんと本番はもう鳥肌が立つほど素晴らしい演奏になったと。それはそのテクニックがすごいとかそういうことではなくて、音楽の本質に迫る演奏だったから素晴らしいと思ったと。そのコンサートのポスターを今でも持ってるとおっしゃってましたね。で、もう一つの思い出、記憶に残っていらっしゃる事柄というのは、学校の、高校生だの中学生だのが、ビッグバンドで、演奏するコンクールがあった時に、すっごい難しい曲をいっぱい演奏する学校を差し置いて、 完全に完璧にスイングする中学校が1校だけあって、その子たちに、審査員だったマリアさんが最高の賞を与えたそうなんですけれども、もちろん他の参加校はみんなもう怒り心頭だったそうですが、その中学校の先生にどうやってこの子たちにこんなに素晴らしいスイングをできるようにしたのと聞いたら、その先生、顧問の先生の答えは、練習の半分は演奏を聴くこと、良い演奏を聴くことだと言ったというんですね。だからこう指揮者として言葉で何か伝えるということよりも、やっぱり耳で何か感覚を得る、それを共有するということがバンドのその、ディレクターとしてはとても大事なんじゃないかなということもおっしゃってました。
Okay, if I may add one thing, of all the years I've worked with, working with all these great musicians, I've learned that the rehearsal is not a place to, practice, work on your part. The rehearsal should be a place where you learn other people's parts.
Right.
And I think that's what Maria said. Listen. Is something that we all have to, I guess, get away from listening to only your part, but listen what's going on around you, before you, under you, or after, what's going to happen afterwards. That's going to determine musically how your part's going to should be played. リハーサルのことでちょっと、僕は思い出したのが、リハーサルというものは自分のパートを練習する場所ではなく、他の人のパートを勉強する場所だということが大切だと思います。Okay, you guys cool with the moving on?
Can I say one more thing about that? I always feel that it's very important, not only for people, what you said is like knowing the sound and the music and knowing who else is playing what they're playing, because if you're playing and you're just reading the notes and you're reading the rhythms, but you're not anticipating what you need to do to blend with somebody, to be in tune with somebody, to put a certain energy through a line, if you're just reading and then discovering the sound as you're playing, you're always behind. You can't do anything about the note. Once you discover, oh, I was a little too loud, a little too soft, but if you know what you're doing and you know what the other people are playing, so your ears are ahead of the music, so that everything you play, you're playing anticipating what you want it to be. When you get a whole ensemble doing that, that's when the music becomes more than just music. That's when the music becomes something that moves you and you just say, wow, that's when Sammy Nestico's thing on the Basie album, makes you feel like the heavens opened. And so any ensemble that wants to do that to people, they have to get to that point, Eric, what you're talking about, being at the rehearsal, really interested. What is everybody playing? What does the music sound like? What do I want to create with this? So that they're there to play, and serious about it. It's serious business. And everybody has to have that wish.
I wonder if in educating young people that we could make more of an emphasis on learning how to listen, because I think people don't know how to listen even off the bandstand. As they go through the world, some people just wait to talk and regurgitate their talking point, as opposed to really listening and reacting in real time to the stimulus. Even at a professional level, the same thing happens to me all the time that Maria referenced. We'll be doing a playback at a session and I'll hear a trumpet player say, I never knew that was happening. And we may have played the chart for 6 months, but they're back in the back row and there's a little bit of a tunnel vision thing that happens sometimes, even with pro level players. And they get focused on, I'm gonna nail this part, as opposed to also factoring in what everybody else is doing and learning to listen on that level. I get asked by my publisher to write middle school grade 3 level charts, which are hard to do, to make them interesting. but often they want them to be rock and roll or Latin or pop based, because that is a rhythm that the kids kind of intuitively feel. If they know, if I write a bassy swing chart, you can tell the kids have never heard this music. It's not in their bones. So maybe that's something that is worth a little more attention, at the student level.
Cool. Okay. Arranging, composing. What motivated you guys to start writing, composing? What was the the catalyst? What kind of ignited that fire for you? Okay.
Musicians, players to me.
Okay, go guys.
Miho, other musicians motivated you?
Yeah, definitely. Well, especially for my band, that nobody commissions me to write for my band because that's my band. So I have no clients, no requests for my music, my album's music, and I can do whatever I want to do. So I mean, oftentimes, of course, that's case by case, like it's some logical concepts or experiences, but my musicians are a huge part of my inspiration. I'm gonna just say that in Japanese as well, just in case. インスピレーション、私にとってのインスピレーション、一番大きいのはやっぱり演奏家ですね。演奏してくれる方々の顔とか、演奏してくれる様子とか、音とか、その人の得意なこととか、そういうことを思い浮かべるだけでも本当に大きいインスピレーションになってます。どうぞ。
I think so many people, when they get the experience of writing something and hearing people play it, it's so easy to catch that bug, And for me, what's really amazing is if I have, because a lot of my music is about something, or I'll write something and it really, I'm trying to capture an experience or a feeling in that music. Not all my pieces have that, but many do. And what is extraordinary to me is that if I put that feeling into the notes, and then I put it on paper in little black and white notes, and then somebody comes with an instrument, a lot of people come with their instruments that are actually very crude ways of making sound. It's hitting a skin with a stick, it's vibrating a reed and changing the length of a pipe, a trombone, changing the length of a pipe by sliding, and they're making vibration, reading those notes, making sound, and then that sound comes out. And if that sound evokes something that people in the audience say, oh, I really felt like I was hang gliding, or I could see those images, or I felt this or that. When at the end of that whole process of going through all these different, transformations, that what I felt and I put into the notes comes out the other side and makes people feel that. That's unbelievable. That is bizarre. It's mystical, and that for me is the rush.
And yet, so Maria, so when you're in the process of composing, let's take hang gliding, you are choosing intervals, you're choosing registers, you're choosing rhythmic flow of some kind or another that end up conveying that in a programmatic sense. And so for some of us, those decisions are a little more nuts and bolts. Like if I'm commissioned to write a heroic theme, then I know, all right, this interval ascending from, root to fifth, or it's going to convey heroism. I kind of know the rules of what tonal relationships, will imply. And yet there's an element of inspiration as well. And where one starts and where the other, stops is a mystery to me. And then, of course, as you say, the musicians take the notes and lift it off the paper and insert their own, point of view, their own feelings about whatever the topic is. And that is you're right, it's a magical combination. It's an elusive thing to define without a doubt.
Eric, do you want to translate that or?
Yeah, that was a pretty long one.
Ah,
I'll try my best. マリアさんにとっての、アレンジの、喜びみたいな話になってますね。やっぱりこう、曲を書くときに、彼女がいろんなイメージを頭の中に思い浮かべて、それを音に変えるというプロセスをするんですけど、例えば、ハンググライダーという曲があるんですけど、そのハンググライダーに乗ってるような、そのイメージを彼女が思い浮かべて、それを、鉛筆と紙に変える。それを、今度はこの管楽器の皆様とか打楽器の、そうやった楽器を通してそれを伝えるという、その伝えたかったことが、その、ミュージシャンというものを通してお客様に伝わった時の喜びというもの、本当に大きなもの、だと私は思ってます。それに対してゴドンさんの、質問はやっぱりそうやったイメージをそうやったこう伝える、難しさとかそういったものの、プロセスの、やり方みたいなものを、さらにちょっとマリアに聞くというところで話が止まってます。Okay. Can we move on to I'm sorry, Miho, I'm skipping you maybe, but
Yeah, it's fine.
something kind of little technical. This is a very personal question from me. I've kind of this was in my head for many years, trying to figure this out. Maria, this is a question to you. Do you know the piece that Bob wrote for Ileani called "So in Love"?
So in love. Wait, so in love. I gotta think. I'm trying to think how it sounds. I know that whole. He wrote a whole concert of music for her whole album. I have to recall the exact.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Sorry, I couldn't see the piano, so my finger was.
Ileani was my guest with my big band about 2 years ago, and she brought that chart in. And there's a section where, let me explain this in Japanese first. マリアさんに対しての僕の個人的な質問になってしまうんですけど、数年前にイリアスさんと仕事したときに、彼女が持ってきた譜面の中に So in Love というボブ・ブルックマイヤーの譜面を持ってきてくれました。その中でちょっとずっと僕が気になっていたことを、マリアさんに聞いています。Maria, my question is that there's one chord that he wrote. It's like an E flat 6/9 almost, okay? But he added an E natural on the fifth trumpet. That was the only note that he added that was out of the context. I'll show you the score. Okay. Can you guys see this?
Just a second. Well, okay.
It's a little small, but here it goes. Okay, it's coming up. Right there, right here, where Bob starts his solo.
Okay, let me just see.
Okay, and here's the breakdown of the chord.
The fifth trumpet.
Trumpet 5 has an E natural.
Well, it looks like the lead does too. Does the lead have an F flat?
That's a bass clarinet part.
Wait,
That's kind
wait.
of
Oh
encroaching.
God. Okay. How is it?
This is a
okay.
yeah. This is not. It's not transpose.
Oh, you're right. No, no. I see. So there's a third on top. Just a minute. Let me just look. Third. Wow.
It looks pretty conventional. If that's an E natural, is that what's the previous bar, Eric?
Right here. Okay, it's right here.
Oh, it's pretty clearly E natural, isn't it? Well,
and I double checked on the trumpet part. The fifth, here's a trumpet 5, and right here is a F sharp. So it's a
I have a handwritten score here as well, and then that's E natural as well here.
Yeah, so Maria, what can you explain what this?
Because, well, I will say, so I remember one time I was writing an arrangement for the Mel Lewis band. I was studying with Bob Brookmeyer, and there was a part that culminated on a chord. It was a D flat major chord, and there was an A flat on the top, and the passage built up. And then it came down at, this, I'd have to listen to this because I couldn't hear, it was distorting. So I couldn't really hear that. But to just hear the function and where it was coming from. But I remember, I had written this very correct chord, and he said, oh man, put a G, for Mosca underneath that A flat, so that there's that minor ninth, so that when it gets to that chord, it feels like it has to pull back down again, so that the gravity of that minor ninth would pull it back. So I would say that I would imagine that there was a sense of that landing on E flat that didn't have sort of a vanilla finality to it, but it had something that presses and makes it want to move ahead. And Bob's music had a lot of little clustery things in it that just gave chords a little bit of a something beyond just a resting zone. He was very into that thing of things that push ahead because it of a half step somewhere, or something that a tension that makes it want to move on. So I think that's probably what that is, but I have to look at the passage.
Okay.
Carefully.
Let me translate this. 今お話ししているのが、ボブさんのスコア、これがスコアなんですけど、ちょっと僕が謎だと思ってたのが、ここに E フラットの、大体こうナインスがあったりとか、簡単なメジャーコードなんですけど、なぜか E ナチュラル、フラットナインスが入ってるんですよね。だからこれをなぜトランペットの5番だけ1人にアサインしてあったのかっていうことを質問したんですけど、マリさんの答えとしては、他のバンドの、ところでボブさんの譜面をやったときに、そうやったマイナーナインスをわざと入れて、その、マイナーナインスというのはこう、重力みたいなものがあって、次のコードにこうそれを引っ張る、その全体的なコードを引っ張るような役目をする時があるので、それを入れたかもしれないという彼女のアナライシスでした。Great. Thank you, Maria. It kind of bothered me, like all these 2 years I was trying to figure this out.
The more I think about it, it certainly seems intentional. That's just like him, just to put that, and he's only got one guy doing it. One note that's just a little bit out of step with just a finality of an E flat 6/9. And
well, the other thing is, that's an E flat chord with a third on the top. It's like
that's a tough one, yeah.
So
right.
It doesn't have any juice in it, So it's just a way to add a little bit of juice. I write major chords with flat nines in them, not voiced like that, more of a kind of like a spread thing. So I've done that.
マリさんが言ってたのが、マリさんの説明と、補足なんですけど、このコード、例えばこのコードに関しては、3度が一番上にある、すごくこう、平凡なというか、コードなんですけど、それをやっぱりちょっともうちょっと、かっこよく、ちょっとこう、イントレスティング。
Yeah, because if you have an E flat chord, sing, and you have the, you have the G in the top, and then you've got, of course, then you're going to have the third down low. Now you've got the third in octaves. It's kind of Dullsville there, unless
A
you
lot
got
of third,
something
a lot of
else in
third
there.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of third and a lot of kind of nothing. There's just not a lot available in that chord. So Bob said, okay, I'm going to put a little rub in there that just sends it off with something. Yeah, it's.
And this is, I think, this is one of those moments that Maria was referencing earlier, in terms of the players having an understanding of that note, its role in the chord, and how you balance that. Because maybe you don't need, that much of it. You just need enough so you can feel that dissonance, that slight dissonance. So
yeah, and you have to know, that note, maybe you put just a little extra something through it just to make it really intentional, or
so it doesn't sound like a clam. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this will lead to my next question. When you're voicing things, what are your thoughts on placing the rubs, the tension notes? You guys are consciously trying to avoid doubling it, or well, I guess it all depends on the chord and what happens before and after. But what are your thoughts on voicing dissonance?
I think it's just all contextual. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
There's some times that you might want to big and hairy, and other times a more subtle thing, like the example you just gave. But
yeah,
I think as I have matured as a person and as a writer, I guess I'm more interested in the gray area of music, because life, I believe, is not just light or dark, on or off. There's shades of everything, and so and that's an interesting thing that I was considering just recently with a student, because this is the end of a phrase where he put that E natural in, done, and the student asked me about writing endings, and I told him it's a topic that is vexing to me, because I want to try to find a new way to skin the cat. But endings, to me, are a little bit of a contrivance, because we don't have endings in our lives. It's a continuance. So even if we have a happy moment and something, we might have that E natural somewhere in our lives. Maybe we've got a sick relative, or maybe we've got something we don't want to do. There's probably some level of nuance. And so when you end a chart, I think that the human condition is aware of the fact that an ending doesn't really exist, except for maybe our final ending, But more and more, for me, it's just like one thing, one moment leads to the next. And so I think, for me, trying to have an ending that is at once unexpected, but also has enough of the familiar that the audience kind of gets the resolution that they're seeking at the end of a piece. Does that make sense to you guys?
Brookmeyer would always talk about create different kinds of endings that create a space after a piece. Some endings might elicit an immediate feeling, a need to applaud even before it's done almost, and others leave you with a space that nobody really wants to break with an applause, so that there's that space, or that you understand beyond the end of the piece that might happen,
Okay, let me interrupt here. Let me try to translate this again. ゴードンさんが話してたのが、やっぱり今のさっきの、コードに対しての、そういった、入ってないような、テンションの音の話なんですけど、人生に例えると白と黒みたく、コードとかもやっぱりそうやった、中で、人生の中の白黒だけじゃなく、人生といろんなものがあるという、いろんな苦難みたいなものもあるので、それを、違う色として入れるっていうことが、やっぱりそのコードをもっと広げる、それに対してのアプローチという考え方もありますし、やっぱり全てのものに対してやっぱり何か終わるっていうことは必ずあるので、そのエンディングに対して行くための過程の中でのいろんなさまざまな、そうやった物事をそうやったテンションで表すっていうことも、 あると思います。マリアさんがその補足として話していたのが、ブルック・マイヤーさんが、よくエンディングのことで、よくやっていたのが、わざとエンディングの後に何かをこう入れといて、お客様の、拍手でそのムードみたいなものをすぐこう壊さないようにという、その曲のイメージがちゃんと残るようにエンディングをうまくこう調整してたっていうことが、ボブさんから学ったことの一つです。Okay, thank you. Miho, what do you think?
Well, I'm gonna just, add one more thing and in Japanese. ボイシングということに対して結構なんでしょう、そのセオリーを重視するということではなくて、やはりその音楽の流れに沿って、私はもうちょっとその、一つ一つの楽器が横にの線としてつながるように心がけるようにしています。なんかその、5つの楽器、4つの楽器がそれぞれに一緒に動くことに命をかけるのではなくて、それぞれの楽器が一人で演奏した時にも楽しめるように、その横の流れがあって、それが一緒に流れた時にいい組み合わせになっていればそれでいいかなということの方が私にとっては重要なので、さっきのボブ・ブルックマイヤーさんのスコアもそうですけど、トロンボーン1、2、3、4、5ってあったのに、トロンボーンの2と3の高さが全然違う方向に向いていたりとか、でもそれはその上から順番にボイシングを並べたのではなくて、その2番の人が下がるラインを楽しんでいるのに、3番の人は上るラインを楽しんでいて、途中で順番が逆になっちゃったとか、なんかそういうふうにちゃんと横のラインを重視するからこういうラインが生まれるんだよっていうことが、なんか楽譜を通して見えてくるっていうのはすごく美しいなと思って、さっきのスコアも見てました。はい。
Okay, we're almost out of time, but let's see. We don't have any questions coming in from YouTube, but they all seems to be enjoying it immensely. When you're composing, when you're working on a project, well, I guess it all depends on what the project is. Like Gordon, you have a film and TV scores, and you're doing, things for a big fat band and whatnot. But for the question is, what are the process? What do you guys start off with, and how does that gonna develop into a chart?
Maria?
Well,
with that?
yeah, for me, writing music, it doesn't usually come up with, I don't usually have an idea and then write. I usually, well, sometimes something will just kind of come to me. Other times I'm just playing around and I'm just looking for sound. And that sound very often then attaches itself to something in my life or some kind of emotional thing. And once that happens, it to me, in retrospect then, especially when I write several pieces in a period, a lot of times, maybe years later, I look back and then I start to see the influences that made that music come about, that were things not necessarily musical, like, spending more time in the country, brings back memories that something comes into the music, and then all of a sudden I realized that music has a feeling of home. And then I realized years later, well, of course, I was spending time in the country and I grew up in the country, and all these things came together, and that body of music started to bring back a sense of home. In my latest times, I've spent a lot of time fighting big data companies and issues, and so this kind of aggressive thing would come out in my music, and I'd be like, oh, this is a piece for Google, or something. and then I start to see, that, okay, what were the forces that came about? Well, working with David Bowie and having him like my more aggressive music. Yes, so that's like a musical influence, but more that there's this kind of other influence in my life of what I spend my time and my mind doing. And so one of the things I tell, musicians, or if I do clinics or whatever, I say, I think it's important in life to do things outside of music. Go see, go to a museum, go watch dance, spend time in the country, do things, because those things are the things that feed your music. I think music isn't often about music, but music is about life, and so I find that my music shows me about my life, but sometimes it takes a few years for me to look back and recognize it.
Okay, let me translate this. 次の質問はアレンジをするときに、どうやったプロセスを、追って作品になるかという話なんですけど、マリアさんにとっては、多くの場合はただピアノで遊んでるときに生まれたものがどんどんと広がっていく。それと彼女がその、瞬間にいる場所とか、例えば田舎の自分の家で、過ごしている時間とかの時に生まれたものが、やっぱりそれが音楽につながる、それが生まれるという。あとは例えばGoogle とか中でやっていて、ちょっとイライラとトラブった時に、その対してのイライラが彼女のアグレッシブな方の曲になっていくとかという。そうやってやっぱし、人間、ミュージシャンにとって、やはりいろんなことを経験するという人生経験がやっぱりその音楽に、成長をもたらすということがやっぱりすごく感じられると思っています。Okay, Gordon?
I'm probably a little more assignment oriented when I sit down to create. Coming out of maybe a commercial music situation where I would have a limited amount of time, so I had to hit that target pretty quick without a whole lot of time to let it gestate. Ironically, in the age of COVID, I all of a sudden have that time. I can come down here and just see what happens, which is rare for me. Having said that, I know what Maria's talking about, because I had an experience. I gave a seminar at the University of Miami, and the seminar was about cancer, supporters of cancer patients, not the cancer patients, but their loved ones, and the effect that has on that. And my topic was how my music was affected by an experience I had in the 80s, where I lost my little brother to cancer, and then my father a month to the day later. So, it was a devastating thing for my mom and I. And so what I did is, and I said, now here's some music I wrote in the years prior to their death. Here's some music I wrote in the 6 months following their deaths. And then I followed up with a couple years, and you could look and you could see the trauma evidenced by some of the chords I would choose. Just like you could hear my melancholy, and the melancholy, you maybe a little bit of hope, and then to just pretty darkness around the time after they passed, and in the whole stages of grief thing, anger, denial, and all that stuff. And then hear me working my way out of that. Musically, you could hear it changing and evolving, but I couldn't have told that to you at the time. It wasn't until I had the retrospective looking back on it, and then kind of stepping away from it and being able to more objectively say, yeah, look at that choice I made in that melody, or that orchestrational choice, or the harmony of it. So I think there are forces on us, that are maybe less in our control, than we think.
ゴードンさんの、お話なんですけど、彼の場合の、仕事の、アレンジなんですけど、仕事のアレンジが多くて、やっぱりこうやって締め切りとか、そういったものを、感じながらの、作曲が多いんですけど、彼が話してた話の中で、数年前に、がん協会からのお願いでセミナーをやったそうです。なぜなら、彼は、兄弟をがんで亡くしてます。そして、その兄弟が亡くなった1ヶ月後に父親もがんで亡くしています。なので、今となって、その時代の自分の音楽を見ると、そのがんの、その大変な時期の、前の自分の音楽と後の音楽を比べてみると、コードの選択、展開などはやっぱしその、 大きくさまざまな感情を受けた、その大きな自分の人生の起点の中での、出来事が自分の音楽を大きくやっぱり、左右しております。美穂
I'm gonna just add one more thing. Like, I mean, I agree with you too. That my music is like complete reflection of my life for sure. And then I also, you know, as a person from Japan, I also always get a lot of times I get the questions like, how do you think about being a jazz musician from Japan, like a Japanese Asian, you know, jazz musician, jazz composer? Sometimes, you know, I get to ask if my race or like, you know, origin reflects to my music, like in a specific way. And I always answer no, because that's naturally reflecting my music without it knowing, like, you know, putting that on purposely. Like, I don't try to put that on purpose, but I believe that reflects to my music very naturally. So I do think that there is an identity of being Asian or Japanese in my music still, but not obvious way. It's you know, natural, so I don't really have to think about it. I'll translate it. 私にとっても音楽はすごく自分の人生を映し出しているものだと思うんですけれども、やはりその日本人でジャズミュージシャンであることから、いろんなこうインタビューとかで日本人であることがその自分の音楽に反映されていると思いますかってよく聞かれるんですけれども、自分としては故意にそういうことをこう日本人だからこういうジャズ音楽を作ろうとかいうことは一切考えておらず、むしろそういうことはもっと自然とこう自分の音楽を通して出てきてしまうものなんじゃないかなと信じているので、故意に何かをしなくても必ず自分の経験とかアイデンティティみたいなものが自分の音楽には反映されていると私自身も信じています。
OK。最後の質問になるんですけど、まあ僕の話になってしまうんですけど、今、ブルーノートのビッグバンドで、とか、まあ、いろんなところで、佐藤筑前さんのアルバムの制作とか、アレンジャービッグバンドリーダーとしても、いろいろといろんなことをやらせていただきます。でも、僕は学校でアレンジを習ってません。全部独学です。いろんな本を買って、それで勉強をしてます。でもその中で、例えばバリリーチバンドやってる時に、ボブ・ミルターの譜面がいっぱいありまして、すごくかっこいいなと思ったので、その譜面を夜、バスから持ち出して、スコアがなかったので、譜面を全部自分のベッドの上に並べて、それで一つ一つのパートを自分でこう手で書いて、そのスコアを作ってそれを見て真似したようなものでした。数年後に、サミネスってことがいろいろ話しているときに、彼が言ったのが、エリック、たまには思うんだけど、学校とかで学ばない方がもしかしたら音楽というものはいいかもしれないね。アレンジもそうだよって、そういったことを言ったので、独学でもアレンジが、できるんですけど、このアレンジに対しての勉強の仕方はどういったことをお勧めしますかというのが質問です。My last question for you three. Speaking for myself, I've been writing a lot as a big band arranger, but I've never gone to any school. I went to Berkeley, but I never gone to classes. I was always gigging. So I never studied under anybody. It's all self-taught. When I was on Buddy's band, there were several Bob Mintz charts that I really loved. So what I did was I would take those charts, bring it to my room, hotel room, and I would hand copy each parts into a score, and I was check out what Bob used to do. And that's sort of was a beginning of my arranging career. And years later, I was working with Sammy Nastico, and I was telling the story about that. And Sammy said, Eric, it's better not to know sometimes the rules of what not to do, those low interval limits and things like that. And you see, just it's better for some people to not to really study under anybody to have a set rule. But my question to you all three is, what would you suggest? How would you what's your suggestion to study arranging?
Well,
Okay.
I can start, I guess. First of all, I think that it is really important for people when they write to not first search out guidance how to write, but just to play, play around with notes and to try things, because the danger is if you go to a class and somebody says, okay, this is how you write, this is how you arrange. They give you sort of step 1, 2, and 3. But you might have had a unique sort of naive approach of putting the E natural in the E flat major chord, or having low interval, half steps like Gil Evans sometimes did in his pieces, that gave a certain kind of sound or an odd orchestrational thing. And I think it's important to sort of find out what your sort of naive expression is, and then try to figure out from there how to develop that to make it more effective, and I think a really good teacher looks for that in a student. They try to find out what are the quirks, what are the weird little things that this person has that are special, and how do you develop those things, rather than saying, okay, no, this is really how you do it, this is how you voice, in E7 flat 9 13 chord, and or this is how you do a major chord, and don't put this in the lead and the sharp 11 below it, because you shouldn't ever do a minor ninth interval, so I think it's very hard to teach writing. And I think what you did, Eric, in searching out music you like and looking at the scores, just to understand, what did this person do to get the sounds that they got, One of the first books that because I was largely self-taught too, because there wasn't a jazz arranging program, so I was taking a lesson with somebody here and there, but basically feeling things out and looking at scores. And I used that book by Rayburn Wright, who ended up being my teacher years later, Inside the Score.
What a great book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great book. Yeah,
What
just
a
because you're just analyzing things. It's got Brookmeyer, it's got Thad, it's got Sammy Nestico. 3 very different ways of writing. You could go to the Gil Evans project, that online, and check out Gil Evans scores and see what he does, because that's a totally different thing, extremely linear, very different way of reharm. It's not reharm even, in the way that Thad Jones does it. So, there's so many different approaches, but you have to find out what's your kind of naive expression. What are you looking for in your music? What do you love,
Okay. マリアさんの、答えですけど、彼女も、基本的には自己流で始めたそうです。やっぱり誰かの元で勉強するものもいいんですけど、まずその前に自分でいろいろと試すっていう、自分でいろんなことをやってみるっていうことを先行してた方がいいと思います。先生にとって、難しいところ、それと楽しいところは、その一人一人の生徒がそうやった幼くても、面白いアイディア、性格みたいなものを音楽に持っている子たちを、伸ばすというか、そういったものをすることが、先生として楽しいし難しいところでもあります。そうやった習ってしまうといろんなルールに縛られて、やっぱり自分の持ってたそのベーシックな、感性みたいなものを抑えてしまうかもしれないので、やっぱりいろんなアイディアを勉強するの。例えば、おすすめとするのが、レイバーン・ライトさんという方が書いた Inside the Score。多分日本語で訳されてると思うんですよね。それの本をやっぱり彼女もマリアさんも、勉強した 中の一つです。あとはギル・エヴァンズさんとか、やっぱしブルックマイヤーさんの、ルールに問われない、アレンジの手法とかも、とても参考にしてます。Gordon?
I think the key to our responsibilities, not just as musicians or composers, but as human beings, is to find out who we are. And I think the way you did it, it's the same way we all do it. Is score analyzing and just get on the ground and roll around in that music, find its secrets, and move on to the next guy. And for a while, all my music sounded like Sammy, and for a while, it all sounded like Thad, and for a while, you know, different people. And then as time goes on, it congeals into you. If you keep at it and keep studying and keep learning, I think you could perhaps get that experience in academia. But I just like being a good player. When I was in college, I was at school studying counterpoint and orchestration, but I was also playing in a club at night, and I was playing Earth, Wind, and Fire and Stevie Wonder, you know, and I was studying Mozart and Stravinsky and Debussy during the day, and all that kind of went into the pot for me. But I think we don't want to just be robots that come in and regurgitate somebody else's stuff. With improvisation, that was a problem I had. I just didn't want to just regurgitate Charlie Parker licks until I found a teacher named Warren Marsh, who was a tenor saxophone player that played with Lenny Tristano, and he gave me some exercises to loosen up my brain and find out what I wanted to say as an improviser. So I think the same thing is true as a composer. And the interesting thing about Bob is that he told me that the first big band chart he ever wrote was for Buddy. So you were probably studying Bob Mintzer at a fundamental level when he was just putting his toe in the water. But you listen to those charts, it sounds like Mintzer. He had found his sound. And so I think if you can, you know, keep that as your goal, you'll get there.
You know that chart Bob wrote for a buddy called The Good News?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that it's a long suite, right?
Yeah.
I heard a story about that. I think that was the first piece he ever wrote for Buddy. So Buddy went up to Bob and said, "Hey, I got a bad news and a good news. The good news is that I want you to write for the next album. I want you to write me a suite. The bad news is I want it by next week." So thus, that chart became the good news. Anyway, let me translate this. ゴーロンさんの話なんですけど、ゴーロンさんやっぱしアレンジというものはこう人生とつながるものが多くあると思います。彼の場合も、いろんな音楽をこう勉強している中で、やっぱしこのある時期ではやっぱしこの結構ポップな、アース・ウィンド・ファイアみたいなサウンドのものになったりとか、サイミニスティックのそっくりなものばっかり書いたりとか、サド・ジョーンズの曲調になったりとか、でもそう時間が経つにつれて、そうやっていろんな要素が自分の音になっていくっていうことも、確かなものなので、やっぱしいろんな音楽を、僕みたいに、こうスコアをアナライズして、それでどんどんと自分のものにしていくというプロセスっていうのがやっぱしアレンジャーとして育っていくために、大切だと思います。美穂?
Well, I completely agree with you too. I just add one more thing in Japanese. 特にジャズについて思うことは、そのセオリーについて知ることは決して悪いことではないと思います。知ってっていいことだと思うんですけれども、答えを先に知るのではなくて、感覚で先につかむことが、音楽全般かもしれないですけど、本当に大事だなと個人的には思っていて、こういうスケールでこういうセオリーになるからこういう音が出るとか、こういうコードが弾けるとか、こういうアドリブができるとか、そういうことではなくて、やはり音で聞いたり感覚で掴んだりしたものを後で聞いてとか、後でスコアを見て、あ、こうなってたんだって知ることのプロセスの方が私はとても自然な流れかなと思っていて、音楽には答えがないの、正解がないんですよ。なので 別に何を書いても違法にはならない、憲法違反には全然ならないわけ、ルール違反にはならないわけで、それをどういうふうに自分のセンスで解釈したり消化したりしていくかっていうところにご自身のモラルとかセンスとかなんだろう、知的な部分とかそういうところが反映されると思うので、なんかこうセンスをとにかく聞いて磨いたり、こうなんでしょうね、幅を広げたりっていうそういうところから楽しんで学んでいっていったらいいんじゃないかなというのが私の意見です。
Okay. Hey, we're going over time. So I think we should call it a quits. Maria, thank you so much. I know it's past your bedtime,
Yeah,
but
it
you,
is.
before we end, do you guys want to talk about anything that's coming up, and you guys want to plug in?
Yeah.
No, you guys okay?
Well, the Fat Band is recording a couple of virtual charts. It's not ideal, but it's doable, and so we're going to try to have everybody record at home, and I will take them and try to create the illusion of interaction.
That's fun.
Yeah, and so and it is interesting how having a little time has affected the music that I've written for it. So we're in the process of doing that right now, and then but we're just staying safe, not washing our hands, and not touching our face.
Sure.
And thinking of all the people that are really having a rough go, medical professionals and people that are not as lucky as we all are to be able to, have time to devote to music,
Right.
as we all wait out this crisis.
Yeah, same here. I'm just, stuck in my room writing a lot of music for, bands and concerts for the future. And I'm just so grateful that, my circumstance hasn't changed that much, that, I get to write so much music, and I'm safe here, and then, staying warm here. It's okay.
Yeah.
So, my responsibility is just to stay here, stay home, stay safe, and, don't spread anything, but just keep working on something, and then to create something for the future so that, when this is over, then we can bring, more music or more excitement coming, back to the reality in person. And I'm looking forward to that moment so that we can, even more appreciate the live music and hanging out with people.
And I'm just trying to get my my new album produced, Data Lords. So we're trying to get that out, and so my life has been more about technical aspects of music production, but and it's a little tough, doing all this with businesses and things that can't be running, but we're gonna get there. It's just a little slow. Have to be patient. So, but yeah, I'm excited to get it's a double album out there. So I've spent a long time doing this thing. So it's almost there.
Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
で
そろそろちょっと時間になってしまったんですけど、皆様の近況としては、ゴードンさんはビッグファットバンドで、今ちょっと流行りのバーチャルビッグバンドをちょっと企画をしています。あとは自宅で、こういろんな音楽の、作品を、こう作ることに専念をしています。マリアさんはデータロードという、アルバム、ダブルアルバムなんですけど、これがもうすぐ、出ます。なので、それに対しての準備をしております。それで、美穂さんは美穂さんで。
締め切りの譜面を粛々と書いております。皆さんにご披露できる日を楽しみに、いっぱい書いてます。
はい、それでは皆様、本当に今日は、ご視聴ありがとうございました。大変な時期です。本当にちょっとなんでしょうかね。毎日状況が変わる不安な時期にいると思います。でもやはり音楽はどんなものに対してもなんでしょうかね、負けないと思います。苦難があればあるほど音楽というものはどんどんと大きくなるものです。特にジャズは苦しみから生まれた、音楽だと思ってますので、なんでしょうかね、今の状況が終わった時に どのように音楽が変わってるかっていうのがすごく僕としては、楽しみだと思います。皆さん大きな拍手を、この、3人の素晴らしいアーティストに。In closing, I just want to say thank you for all of YouTube listeners to tuning in, and just want to express my feeling that we're living in the days of uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The end, we can't see that. But through all this, hardship, the music is always alive and strong, especially jazz, where the jazz music, was catalyst for from the hardship. So I'm kind of excited in a way to see how the music going to be affected and changed by all this, the global, the sadness. But I'm sure that the music is going to be alive and well, as long as these 3 stars are alive and well. So thank you. Big round of applause to Miho. Yay.
Miho.
And
Thank
Gordon
you.
Goodwin. Gordon, thank you.
Yay.
Thank you guys.
And Maria, thank you for joining us. Thank you.
And then thank you for Eric. Thank you to
Thank you.
Eric for
Thank you, Eric.
hosting. Yeah,
Eric.
it was
Thanks for organizing
amazing.
it, Eric. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you all, and I'll see you guys whenever I can. Okay.
Yeah,
Take
stay
care.
safe.
Bye-bye.
Stay
Healthy.
Thank you.
Bye.